Hey guys, it's Video Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nikki Novo, and I am the author of The Art of You and Me, an inspirational blog for the whimsical type. So today's topic is focus. This has been a huge problem for me for a very long time, and when I started working for myself and working from home, it was really something that I had to overcome. So I did a lot of research, and I asked people what they did to focus. I read books, and I, took on some different techniques, and I've finally figured out what works for me, and to the point that I'm like so surprised at the things that I can accomplish in a day. My productivity is pretty great. And I even think about the old me, and I think, wow, you were such a wimp. There were so many more things that you could have accomplished, knowing what I do know today. So my readers, you guys at The Art of You and Me, you guys are big goal setters and dreamers. And as much as I talk about motivation and inspiration, and I encourage you guys to visualize, I mean, really at the end of the day, we need tools, right, to be able to accomplish, because what's a dream and what's a goal if we can't actually do. So focus is one of the biggest tools that I use to actually accomplish my goals. And I've learned a few things, and I would love to share it with you guys, because I think it can really help you. Maybe not all, but definitely I think you can maybe adapt a few of these techniques. So the first one is time blocking. And time blocking is basically setting aside time every day for a certain task, right? So every morning I wake up and I dedicate 90 minutes to writing my book. And for after those 90 minutes, I move on to the next task. Of course, while I'm in those 90 minutes, a fleeting thought may come up, something like, hey, Nikki, go pick up your dry cleaning. But that doesn't mean I'm going to get up and go to the dry cleaner, right? Instead, I just kind of write it down in my notebook, and I'll revisit it later. But, I really try to stick through those 90 minutes. I commit to them, and I really try to follow through, even if I'm just staring at my blank, Word document. Those 90 minutes are for writing, and that's what I'll do. The second thing is, what I love to remember is no two objects can occupy the same space at the same time, right? So physics teaches us that, and I'm sorry if I said it wrong, but you know what I mean. So basically, what that means is there's no such thing as multitasking. I am so sorry to tell you, you self-proclaimed multitaskers, I was definitely one of them as well. It just doesn't exist. You can't put your attention on two things at the same time. You might think you're texting and having a conversation at the same time, but really you're not. You're just being rude. So maybe it's time to rethink that. But you just can't. Your brain cannot have its attention on two things. You physically can do two things at the same time, but your mind is not concentrated on both. So a true multitasker is somebody that really is conscious and aware of the time in between the tasks, right? So from those 90 minutes of writing to the next task that I do, which is checking emails, that time in between is like where I can save time, and that's where I can be really efficient and productive. If I, when I'm jumping to the next task and I follow a fleeting thought, let's say I'm like, hey, I want to check out my Facebook, and I go to Facebook, and you know how it is. Before you know it, it's been 40 minutes, and you're like checking out some random person's wedding pictures, and you don't even know the person, and she lives in Hawaii, and you don't even know how you got there. And that's where you mess up your productivity, right? Because you were about to jump into task number 2, and you just totally went off and lost that time in between. So that time in between is really important, and it's a total daily practice for me. But jumping from task 1 to task 2 efficiently and with the least amount of distraction in between is a way that you can really boost up your productivity. The third technique that I like to use is commitment and consistency. So when you set goals and you have dreams and everything like that, most of the times you are making a commitment to yourself, which is really hard to keep, because we can totally tell ourselves, nah, I don't want to listen to you today, I'm going to go do something else instead. And it's a lot easier to let ourselves down than to let other people down, right? So one thing I always try to remind myself, and again, this is daily practice, sometimes I can't always follow through, but I make the commitment, and then I schedule time so that I'm consistent consistent. So let's say I have a goal that, in 2 months I want a certain project done. Okay, I know that in order to get that certain project done, I'm going to need to dedicate 20 hours. So from here to those next 2 months, I schedule in my calendar a certain amount of time that will lead me to complete those 20 hours, right? If you don't schedule it, it just doesn't really exist. I learned that from Marie Forleo, which is a huge mentor of mine. If you want the video, let me know. So, it's like you have to make the commitment and then be consistent. And you'll get to your goal before you know it. You don't even know how you got there, but your consistency led to actually, accomplishing, which is amazing. And the last thing that I love to go by is living in the present. And, at the end of the day, living in the present is basically what focus is, right? Just really paying attention to what you're doing at the time. And yes, of course, I might be, reading a book, and all of a sudden I start thinking it reminds me of like a past experience that I had, and I indulge in that past experience. But it's so easy to just kind of lose it and just not even finish what I was doing. But it's important to acknowledge a thought, and see it, and okay, thank you, I see that you came, but bring yourself right back as soon as you can, and not really like indulge in it and not let it bring you somewhere. Just living right here, right now, because this is the place where things get done. This is the place where shit happens. So, you got to live in the present, and that's really what's going to help you focus. So, well, you guys, those are my techniques. I have many others. So if you have any questions, please write it in the comments below. And of course, you can always email me on the contact. You can find my email address, and I'm happy to help. And I really hope that this helps you out. And I think if you adapt them and you you practice it every day, because of course it's practice, it's living it every day. It doesn't happen overnight. It's really going to help you out, and it's going to accomplish goals. So go focus, even if it's on this video. Go focus. All right, you guys. See you next week. Thank you.